Welcome back to Niggas Eatin, a tastefully offensive podcast with your host, Rory and...
Temi. Hey, Rory, what you eating?
I had bottomless brunch, so I not only ate, I'm also slightly...
Feeling a little good? Feeling great? Feeling good?
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
I had fried rice that I made. It was pretty good. Yeah, moving on, though. What's the appetizer, Rory?
We saw Phantom Thread, and we recorded us talking about Phantom Thread when we saw it a week ago, so cut 2.
Dog, what the fuck was that?
That was a PTA movie. That was a PTA movie. That's what that was.
See, in the beginning, God created.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like this weird montage thing going on.
Yeah.
In the beginning, where it's just like making dresses, and then cute romantic stuff with the thing, with
jumping time into the relationship.
Yeah, and then like boredom because he's making dresses and not paying attention to what's her name? Alma.
Reynolds is not paying attention to Alma.
And then at some point it was just like, I'm tired of your shit. And when she's tired of his shit hits the fan.
Right. Which I think the most interesting moment was this dinner scene. You know, when Alma wanted to surprise Reynolds with this dinner. Mm-hmm. Cyril advises her against it. She goes along with it. Alma goes forth with it anyway, and is quickly surprised how much Reynolds dislikes that gesture. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't know if this would fall under the premise, but the premise is ill-tempered, creative.
No, you're already wrong.
Okay. What happens when...
Nope. Male genius who's a fucking baby demands,
That's not right either.
It is! He's a fucking male baby.
No, not the male baby part. I was sure. Maybe I backed it off a little bit, but we're talking about the same thing. But if you're knocking the premise statement, then start with a what fucking if. What fucking if a genius man baby artist finally meets his match by some crazy regular chick who apparently is Welsh and is beneath his class.
The Welsh part wasn't really like...
her friend, whatever, or his friend, whatever her name was.
Yeah. But it's just like, this woman does everything. Not everything. This woman tries to do nice things for him, cook him dinner, wants to go dancing, wants to pay attention to him,
right?
Eat with him.
Also wants him to work less and pay attention more, to accept that she eats loud as shit, which I'm sure you appreciated, Rory.
I was on Daniel Day-Lewis's side with that.
I don't know what she was doing with that cereal. That was fucked up. There's something with the teeth of like, I gotta scrape it off the spoon.
Yeah, I don't know. But like all she wanted was like, he brings her on, and he's like, I love you, and da 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 da.
Oh, he doesn't say I love you to him. He never says I love you.
He does. He says I love you
later.
But I'm saying,
not at the beginning. Even when it's like
he's courting her.
Sure. He courts her in a minute. He's like, you want to go to dinner with me? Yes. Come back to my house. Here, try this dress on. Oh, by the way,
let me make a dress for you. And
right.
So like, but he brings her, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She brings her
into the fold, into his world.
Right. It's just like, I just want you to look pretty.
Yep.
And don't make a noise. And so it's just like, he's like, it's what the feminists say when a man just wants a woman as an object.
Yes.
Like, she's completely objectified by him. Uh-huh. The question is, and I don't think we are the two people to answer this, is the movie misogynistic because it shows his objectification of her, or is there something in the movie that points to how dumb, stupid, man, baby, childish, and wrong it is for him to objectify her in that way? That's the question.
That is interesting, and I won't attempt to answer it.
Neither will I, because I think it takes, one, women should be answering this question, but two,
Sure.
I think it would take another viewing. Because I was just trying to figure out what the fuck was going on, because I was like, dog, if it's just bouncing back and forth between
making a dress
and
being
then being
upset
bored,
that he's making
and then
a
making
dress.
a dress, and then being bored,
Sure.
I was just like, dog, no.
But it's really interesting what's said and what's unsaid about the dynamic between Reynolds and his sister Cyril, because if he is a man baby who is spoiled and temperamental, she is totally enabling that act.
Yes.
But
Until a certain point.
Until a certain point, which is also interesting because she cuts him the fuck down and is like, if you don't try me, you know.
I think that's the part in the trailer, or at least some clip on YouTube, because I've seen that scene before. She's just like, if you fight me, I will run you into the ground.
Yeah.
I've seen that somewhere before.
Okay. I mean, that shit was, whew.
Yeah.
That was good shit.
So, I guess, did you like it or no?
I think I liked being in the world, you know, just this world, even though it's clearly this kind of high-class couture world, so the problem itself isn't something I can necessarily relate to, because it's not if you can even call anything typical, like a typical relationship film. Because from the first trailer, I at least got this idea that PTA is about to do this romantic film about a love story film. Obviously, there was points of conflict even in the trailer that showed that Alma's character, despite still being I guess objectified and willing to be part of that objectification, she's still pushed back more so than not just pouting about it, but
Doing bad shit.
doing some wild shit. Yeah.
But
So, yes, I liked it in terms of being in the world to experience it, because I was surprised how funny how funny their conflict was, in a dark way,
See, because, and I think we said this on the What Are We Excited For in 2018 podcast, episode 2.
Episode 2.
And we were concerned about this looking boring, like There Will Be Blood, and There Will Be Blood actually being this high octane, piss slap fest.
Yeah.
This is definitely a slow burner of the film, but in the beginning, I think the beginning is just, I don't like the beginning at all. But maybe a quarter of the way through, you get that PTA funny stuff.
Yeah.
That weird, awkward
once you get back to the house.
And it's just like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I can see how this isn't, it's not as intense and as driving as There Will Be Blood, but it's definitely it's PTA.
Yeah. Even in, that surprise dinner, that argument was funny.
Yeah. But it was still, it wasn't comedic funny where it's just slapstick.
No.
In the way that Paul Dano, slapping Daniel Day-Lewis in the church is just slapstick comedy, hilarious.
Right.
It's just PTA handles awkwardness really well.
Yeah.
And how anger makes you awkward and say awkward things because you're so frustrated and your emotions get in the way of what you're really trying to say. So sometimes you just make a noise or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't like the beginning.
Okay.
But I enjoyed the ride, I guess.
Sure.
It was so weird watching it. I don't know.
There was a lot of, I guess it would be called loose ends, or just a lot of things
that are implied but unsaid.
Yeah. Which,
not unfinished, but
unspoken.
Because you can have something in a movie that's unspoken, but you understand, this is a definitive point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just kind of... What I appreciated was he's loosely collating all of these scenes together, and that's what I like about how it's dramatized, is that in the beginning it's a little bit too much back and forth between boredom and making dresses, but I like how he develops it where it's not hyperlinear, where it's like A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
But it's not some weird Tarkovsky shit where it's like A, Z, 1, you know, this and that.
Right.
It's kind of
Picture
like...
of a banana.
Right. It's like A, C, F. You know what I mean? Like, he omits a lot of things. And you kind of have to, like, fill in the blanks. I like how that's dramatized. But it's not, you know...
It also... And this might be more drawn from whatever he was on when he was...
Like drugs?
No. I guess mind state, so maybe drugs, but I mean just more of like where he's at as a person to be engaged in this story. Isn't similar, but I think there's still a little residue of Inherent Vice where there's almost a sort of like...
Couldn't tell you.
Right. There's... fantastical isn't the right word, but metaphysical maybe, or spiritual. So the relationship, the dynamic with Reynolds and his mother, and the feeling of a spirit or a phantom, you know, which wasn't implied but was like directly addressed, which was interesting.
That happened like at the beginning of the movie where he's just like, I felt a presence in the...
Right.
You know.
And then to actually see that paid off, because I didn't expect that.
Yeah, well, spoiler alert. Not that I care about spoilers, but, you know, some of the audience does. I'm assuming.
I mean, let's be real. Our audience has probably seen the Phantom Thread at this point.
Okay. Especially at the time this comes out, because it's...
Exactly.
Yeah. But, okay.
Yeah, so consensus. Very interesting ride. Daniel Day, great as always.
It was a weird performance, though. Like, I liked his voice. It was a bit too whiny, but I liked his voice. But...
There was one point in it where I was like, oh my god, this guy is Daniel Plainview. What
that's what I'm saying.
Fuck?
I was like, he came out of the room one time, I think early in the film, and I was like, oh, there's Lincoln. But then at the end, it's like, okay, Reynolds is his own character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
like, I guess that goes into performance and whatever that means, you know?
For
like
sure.
When you know that this is the actor and you know their other work, but
right.
You can see how they've transformed, even though there's like some obviously physical echoes, but like the mannerisms of Daniel Plainview and Reynolds are completely different. You know, like Daniel was so imposing, but Reynolds is kind of, you know, like a whiny little bitch.
He's hyper focused.
But like it's also like he's manipulative in a way that Daniel Plainview is like very like intimidating and like sometimes physically, you know, manipulating. Like, I'm going to slap you and rub your face in some mud. Reynolds is just kind of like, you're interrupting my routine, and I need my routine to be not interrupted. You know.
So that's his way of aggressing or being aggressive.
And he says things like, this is you're being intrusive. This is very intrusive. You know, he like doubles like whatever that linguistic thing is. You know, he'll say the same thing twice, but in a different way. And it's kind of like, it's an interesting character choice, I guess.
Right.
But it's still manipulative.
Right.
You know?
Which is funny because and I actually, is Vicky something
Vicky Krebs?
Is that the actress who plays Alma?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Oh, I know Daniel. I've never heard of these other people before.
Well, the actress who played Alma, she starts the film off. Basically, I was like, oh, he's dead.
It's a retrospective.
Yeah, it's a retrospective, but I was like, okay, this dude's dead.
Yeah.
Like, this dude's dead, and it's but it did make me curious to then see what would happen.
Yeah, and I think, like, because there's also a scene where, like, Cyril, which is Reynolds' sister, was like, do you want me to get rid of her? And then you see that at the beginning of the film, and then you're just like, I thought Alma, because you know, white people all look the same, I thought Alma was the next girl. like he had a girl,
Yeah.
and then got rid of her, found Alma,
Right.
and then I thought the film was gonna go, okay, well now Alma's gone, and then it's gonna be a repeat, like he just
Sure.
goes through women.
Sure.
But it turns out that scene was about Alma, because they repeat the scene, and I'm just like, oh, I guess that was Alma, because.
So, but that's what's also interesting, because it's then, I mean, you know, one question comes, like, what made you find out in some way, what makes Alma different that she is able to find a way to stay, you know?
But my question is, why would she even want to stay? Like, what does he do for her?
There's well, I think that's the whole creative and muse dynamic, because he is this creative baby, we'll still say baby, but whatever he's doing, she is at least interested enough in that off the bat she's, you know, she's trying to appease him, like from the first date. It's like, hey, try this, here, let me take your lipstick off, you know?
I mean, I think there's like a class dynamic, because obviously he's a wealthy, like he dresses princesses and things like that, and we meet her as a waitress,
a bumbling one.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like, this rich man is welcoming me. This rich, like, English man, I guess, is, you know, welcoming me, and, you know, is flirting with me, and this and that. So I think there's that intrigue. But in terms of, like, I don't believe why she stays. Like, I don't think that is... It makes sense why he wants her, but it doesn't make sense why she would stay with him, especially if she's being treated in this way. And it's not like a typical abusive relationship where it's just like, you know...
Physical violence.
Not even physical, because it could be an emotionally violent relationship. But... Which it is, technically.
Yeah.
But, like, there's usually, like, a sweet spot where, like, oh, I love you, and then the person will do something, the abuser will do something to the person that they're abusing to keep them from running away. And it's just like, the point that she makes is, hey, when he's like depressed or sick or something, he like lets me touch him, and like we can cuddle, and it's like,
so you're like, how is that enough to...
That's not enough. To me that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she just wanted the money, you know? She never really says it, and it doesn't... There's never any... But
there's no implication that's why
that even any financial thing is...
Because that's what I thought it was going to be. Like, it was going to turn into this, like, class dynamic of this girl brushed into...
Right.
But I guess that class dynamic is still there, it's just not emphasized, because she still works for him, you know?
Maybe, well, actually, that's still something on his end of why he'd want to keep her around. So because of the class difference, he feels more comfortable because he knows he is above her, but also she has something like the makings of being able to, you know, be at his level or whatever.
Because she does, I guess she does so addressed by herself that she wears for him. Right. And he's like, that's good work.
Sure.
And it was kind of like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was.
But,
yeah. Well...
I think I would watch it again, not in the theaters. But we should talk about... We watched it in 70mm. What did you think about that?
To be honest, I didn't notice a goddamn difference. The one thing I did notice, because is there was a flicker on the screen, so it was film. But other than that, I didn't really catch anything.
I don't usually go to the movies that often, as you know. But what I missed were the cigarette burns.
Okay.
Would that mark the real change? Yeah. Like you see it, and then 10 seconds you see another one, and then that's when the real change happens? Yeah. I miss that. People need to do that digitally. Because that is just... You can paste the film.
They need to fabricate it.
Yeah, you could paste the film, so you know... I think it's like, what, every 10 minutes is a reel? Something like that?
Where I worked, the reel would... a film would come broken down between 3 to 5 reels, and you'd actually build it on a platter that was big enough so you could just play it all out. Okay. So maybe every 35 minutes or something like that.
Well, there was, I think, I counted 6 cigarette burns, and it's only a 2-hour film.
I noticed 0 of those cigarette burns.
So, anyway, like, I like that because you can keep pace without having to, like, you know, check your watch. You're like, okay, we're 10 minutes in, 20 minutes, or whatever the breakdown is. Sure. You know, so, like, it's nice. I like it.
I like to just jump in the pool and, you know, get lost in the sauce.
See, not me.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Nope. Wrong. That's Phantom Thread.
Well, that was great. What a movie.
It was a movie that we saw.
We saw it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're doing our main course, which is Sundance. And we're back. And we're on to our main course, which we're talking about Sundance.
Hold up. Mm-hmm. How did we get to Sundance? Let's shout out the people.
You know what? That's a good point. So we got to Sundance through a great program through Black House Foundation, which is run by Bricks and Diamond, and a board of wonderful trustees who thought it's a great idea to diversify the film industry. So every year they host panels at Sundance Film Festival to draw in the blackest of the patrons of Sundance. In fact, before every panel, Brixton would say, "This is the blackest black Sundance there ever has been," and I would agree.
Well, because when they started out 11 years ago, there were only 7 films. Excuse me, 7 black films at Sundance.
And 7 black people.
Yes. And now there are 39 black films directed
and hundreds of black people.
Yeah.
So Black House, this foundation, teamed up with BET. Shout out Deborah Lee and all the BET folks. Mm-hmm. And they together...
Orlando.
Yes. Shout out
Anika,
to her.
who actually set it up.
Yes.
I forget Anika's name.
Shout out to her. She's great.
Yeah. She actually set up this thing.
So they set it up, and they flew 10 Howard University MFA students out and one of our professors to Sundance for free, nigga.
Okay, so back to expectations. Mm-hmm. What did you expect?
Well, I expected a job.
I pretty much expected what was going to happen. I really didn't think I was going to be partying that much.
It's true. We did party.
But yeah, it was pretty much what I expected. Like working... And then in your free time, doing whatever you wanted, and then networking here,
making the most of your free time. Which is definitely the key, because nobody's gonna hold your hand through it. You really have to make the most out of any scenario you're in. Mm-hmm. I would say this was day 3. Day 2. We ran.
Well, how do you count the days? Because we flew in. Do you count the fly-in day 1?
No.
Okay, so day 1. Okay.
Day 1, we met our former teacher, Julie Dash. Mm-hmm. And Professor Julie Dash, wonderful filmmaker, wonderful spirit.
Daughters of the Dust,
yes.
The first African-American woman to have a wide-released film in the United States, and also one of the inspirations for Beyonce's Lemonade, which she and her cinematographer, Arthur Jaffa, don't like the comparison, but if that's how people get into their work, that's how people get into their work.
Also, it's true. Anyway, we ran into Julie, and we ended up party hopping with her, which was great. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I lost my train of thought.
And that's not surprising. So Julie brought us to the Twitter Lodge for the Array brunch, and Ava DuVernay was... Are we still on expectations? Because I feel like...
We're not on expectations. Okay. We fucked this up. Here's what it is. We got to Sundance and we're like, great, Sundance. The thing I was not expecting, though, was the change of altitude.
See, that didn't really affect me. The first night, I drank a glass of wine and then I drank water, and then I drank a glass of wine and then I drank water. But the next day with the Twitter brunch, what the fuck is water?
Game over. So
what happens at Sundance is that there's a bunch of... storefronts that people rent out for the week, and they get to decorate it however they want. So the Twitter Lodge isn't actually owned by Twitter. They just rented out that space. Buena Vida is what Black House rented out.
Mm-hmm. Shout outs to Buena Vida.
Yep.
Wonderful staff.
And Trove, the next door art gallery.
Yep.
The next door art gallery.
Shout out to Scott and Jen.
Yep. So you that's what happens at Sundance, is that there's... you rent these spaces and then you get to decorate them. So after the decoration was done, it was mostly like guard the door, make sure people who aren't supposed to be here aren't here.
Coming from the film background of it, I felt a little bit out of my lane, but it was easy to adjust. Whereas more or less some people, that's their whole lives. It's like production, for a live event.
Live event.
And, dealing with management, publishers, talent and hosts. So like that was really interesting to get kind of a front row view of how that works, because some of it's amazing how it comes together, because sometimes you're like, hey, how's this gonna work?
It's strung together by duct tape
and they say, you'll find out.
Work was fine.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like if you were a PA on a film set, it would be the easiest job, which is to move chairs from one room to another room. Nobody's saying go on a coffee run somewhere.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to go on a cake run for an impromptu birthday party.
This is true.
So,
but for the most part, it was pretty much just like, oh, okay, the panel's over. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
What was surprising though, the reality was, you know, how much information you could get from the panels while still guarding the door, or you know, watching from the auxiliary.
Because you're not doing anything. You're just like, somebody's like knocking on the door and you're just like, no, and you go back to it. Or you're like, if you're not on door duty, you're just standing around.
So like there was a ton of panels, and I would say top 3 that were really interesting to me was Boots Riley, the director of the film Sorry to Bother You, starring Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson, along with Armie Hammer,
Steve Yeun from Walking Dead.
Terry Crews shows up too.
I saw that, yeah.
And Omari Hardwick, I think, for a second. Now,
it's his feature debut, Boots Riley, right?
Boots Riley's feature debut. He's a musician, been in the game for a long time. And he came to Black House with his producer, Nina Yang Bon Jovi. And both of them, I think, just had really great words to say about the process. And I even got to sit in on the panel and ask a question about working with, you know, actors and how you kind of elicit a performance. And it was really cool because you could see Boots was thinking about how to answer that just on the fly. He hasn't already, you know, been
inundated,
media trained to just like, you know, brush it off or whatever. So that was really cool. And Nina was very informative about you know, her role as a producer to not only get, you know, foreign financiers, but to really promote films. So she had a very interesting position on how she poses to investors why they should invest, which is to say, they're asking, how much money am I going to make back? How much money can this movie make? And she always says, like, basically, listen, you know, we're going to get your money back, but the more important part is that this is powerful storytelling that can change the narrative about people of color, and it's also adding to voices of people of color who, you know, as everybody's saying, there's a renaissance right now. So like hearing that on the producing side, where she's not just focused on the numbers.
Well, she is.
Yes, she is. But in terms of
meaning, like, that's her sell, is you're going to be a part of this renaissance, and that's what's gonna get you your money back.
Right.
In this, you know, Ava Ryan.
Right.
You know, Queen Sugar. What's his name from Moonlight era?
Barry. Yeah. And she produced a couple other films, but she works like one at a time, and I believe she actually also produced Fruitvale. So her connections in the you know, independent film market is pretty strong. There was also another panel I really liked, run by this producer Roberta, who we worked with last year.
Hello Lab AT&T.
Yeah, Hello Lab AT&T, and she brought up these female filmmakers. So they brought up Effie Brown, who you remember from Project Greenlight, where she put Ben Affleck in his place. Diana Williams, who I didn't get what company she works for, but she's basically, you know, a senior vice president of production, and she is a self-titled, you know, blurred, you know, black nerd.
Oh, God.
And she has... I just really like what she had to say, because she said she came into it on the financial side, and then she always had a really strong connection with comic books, because that was how her mother got her to read. And most importantly, She just cares about cool, different shit. And instead of just going on the track of, I'm going to try and become a studio executive, she like went to China and worked in animation, and she keeps redefining like what her career is. And that was, I think, really inspiring just to hear that, that you can do anything basically.
I think I missed that panel too. I remember being there, but was that the first day or the second day?
That was the second day.
Okay, so we were working that shift. I can't remember. I don't know why I didn't watch that panel.
It was a pretty rough night. I know we had already gone overtime. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Shelby Stone, Tracy Bing, who EP'd the Obama movie South Side with You, and Ashley Holland were also on that panel. And I think it was just really encouraging, not only for Black female filmmakers, but filmmakers in general on, you know, I think something that was echoed from almost any panel from creatives is that, like, no matter what, you have to keep going, even when it's difficult. And sometimes you do have to make sacrifices in other areas to, you know, accomplish your goals. But, like, nothing is impossible, and asking is important. And that's something I know I have trouble doing. So always hearing those words are great, you know.
And your third favorite panel?
Third favorite panel was John Amos and Charles West. John Amos is the dad from Good Times. Most importantly for me, he was Mr. McDowell from Coming to America.
See, they're McDonald's. I'm McDowell's. Huh? They got the golden arches. Mine is the golden arcs. He got his own money. And baby, when I tell you he's got his own money, I mean the boy has got his own money. You did it this time. You hit the jackpot.
He's up there in age, but he is still sharp as shit.
He is sharp as hell.
He's sharp as shit, and he's just a really nice guy. And you know what he had to say about keep creating. Don't just retire and go sit somewhere. Like, keep doing stuff. So, you know.
So I really can't remember many of the panels, but I do remember Julie. It was the first panel with Julie and her panelist Nina Menkes, and Nina said that we need to focus on films that don't reproduce culture but raise consciousness, and I like that sentiment. Nina Menkes, she teaches at Cal Arts, and she's an experimental filmmaker. And that was kind of like the panel was talking about, because a lot of the Black House panels are focusing on Black women creators. And so it was talking about like Julie's legacy and Nina's legacy, and how you sometimes have to fight the powers that be, whether they're gendered or racialized. But like Temi was saying, that the theme was just work. But besides that, I really can't think of any other... the Angela Rye.
Yeah, Angela Rye was pretty great.
Angela Rye, yeah. She did a... what's her podcast called again?
On One with Angela Rye.
On One. So she did a live taping of On One with Angela Rye, and Deborah Lee, from BET was there, as well as Tessa Thompson. And let me tell you about Tessa Thompson and my weekend dating Tessa Thompson.
My weekend with Tessa.
So... officially day one, we got into the Twitter lounge with Array, and then we had the 15-minute conversation with Issa Rae, of course, which was a beautiful conversation. Issa is the homie. Then Tessa swoops by looking like a goddamn X-Men in that orange little leather jacket, whatever.
Jacket, suit joint. She's from the future. That shit was from the future, man.
And that's what we have our picture with. So we took some pictures with her. We had a conversation with her. Then... it was at the Macro Party, so Macro Ventures, founded by Charles King, who recently produced Mudbound. Shouts out to the Oscar noms. But, so the Macro Party, we got to dance with Tessa a little bit, and she saw us again, and she remembered us, and then so we kissed, and kissed on the cheek. I kissed her on the cheek. We didn't make out or anything. But we kissed on the cheek.
You tried it.
I did not try it. I didn't try it. I knew that would be rude. So besides the panels, we went to a couple of parties. Timmy was an old man, so he really didn't go out to many of the parties. But we went to...
I skipped every other night.
Macro. We went to a couple of Macro parties. The Twitter Array brunch. The CIA party.
CAA.
What did I say?
CIA.
I said CAA.
I heard IA.
Okay. Well, the Creative Artist Agency party, which was very white and
super white.
So the DJ,
we actually gotta bring in our special guest for this joint, because me and LaDon turned that shit out.
They really did.
For real.
I was too busy being fondled by the wife of whoever wrote Sicario.
Right.
Because she walked up to me, drunk off her ass, and she said, "Oh my God, you're so handsome," rubbing up on me. And I'm just like, okay.
Maybe she thought you were Jay Ellis.
Well, we partied with him too, so later that night at the macro party that we saw Tessa at.
Yep.
And we were swag surfing with Jay Ellis.
Yep.
And then we went, Temi didn't go, but we went, LaDon and another fellow and I went to the HBO party for two
dope queens.
Two dope queens with
my wife,
Michelle, Jessica Williams,
and Phoebe Robinson.
I don't know where Michelle came from.
Michelle's the third one. If there were Destiny's Children, there was a third girl named Michelle, and she's gone.
So we really didn't get to. We saw Issa there again, and she gave us hugs again.
I know.
Like
I saw on the gram that Lena Waithe was there.
We didn't see Lena Waithe.
Okay.
But we did see. We didn't get to meet, but we were like 5 feet in front of Jessica Williams and.
I'm so upset. That's my wife. My wife.
And I rubbed it in his face the next morning, and he was like,
He did. I was like really bummed about that, because I love their podcast. Two Dope Queens is fucking dope, man. You know?
But the great thing about Sundance, and I don't think we've emphasized this enough, is that it's free fucking alcohol wherever you go, and free tapas and hors d'oeuvres wherever the fuck you go. So like, you just party hop all day from 9 to 9.
Also,
well, 9 to midnight.
it really helps if you're black, because they think you've done something.
Yeah, it really does. It's just like, oh, why would you be here unless you are, you know.
They're like, niggas don't like movies. You must have been in one, huh?
So the parties, the panels were fun. Now let's talk about the movies.
The movies. So
I didn't see a goddamn fucking movie, and I am not even mad about it.
I saw one film. Now, mind you, the romanticizing Sundance for me started about like 12 years ago, when I was like, oh, movies, only indie movies, or that must be what movies are, right? So I was hoping to see some breakout movie this year. You know,
I
like,
wasn't really
like a Fruitvale or
the field really wasn't that.
You know,
great.
Yeah. Although, granted, for what was there, some highlights, again, that I did not see. I'm still so upset I didn't get to see Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, me too. I'm really.
But now that Annapurna Pictures bought it, I will see that opening day.
Yep.
Big ups to Boots and Lakeith and Tessa and Nina and everyone else involved in the film. And
Boy, a Girl in a Dream was also a big one, because it's like a single take film. But the people that in our group that went with Howard, they really didn't like it. They were just like, it was a gimmick.
No, we heard mixed things.
Oh, well, maybe
some people really liked it. Some people were like, yeah, it was fine.
Well, I guess I didn't talk to everybody, because I'm elusive.
Sure. But I will say this about that, though, in terms of a gimmick film, there's been gimmick films all the time. And I think something I spoke with another Sundance attendee was that the next step for black films and black filmmakers is to be able to make a bad movie, or like a whatever movie.
Well, see,
while also being able to get another shot at it.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Because I was going to say, black people make bad movies all the fucking time. Have you seen, what was the breakout hit of Sundance last year? Birth of a Nation. Terrible fucking movie.
Was that last year? No, that was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
Mudbound was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't keep up with it.
Yeah. Birth of a Nation was 2 years
well,
ago.
Mudbound also wasn't that
16.
great either.
Yeah, 16.
So.
So, right. So in that sense, Birth of a Nation, it was a movie that was picked up for $20 million by Fox and then buried because they couldn't handle their shit. So I saw one film. I saw the movie I Think We're Alone Now, directed and photographed by Reed Morano. Reed Morano is known for many independent films, including Frozen River, but she's most known for directing the first couple episodes of The Handmaid's Tale, that Hulu show, that breakout Hulu show based on the book by Margaret Atwood. Now, she Reed was at the screening. This movie is a post-apocalyptic indie drama about a man who is alone in the world. He's
the man is the Dink.
Is the Dink, aka P. Dink, Peter Dinklage, of Game of Thrones fame, and Dakota Fanning's little sister, Elle Fanning, of Neon Demon and Super 8. And basically, it's a weird one. I will just say that. It's a weird movie, but I really liked it. I know some people we went with weren't so hot on it, but I would say it's an acquired taste, and it's also not a flashy end of the world type joint. It's more of about meditative and really kind of just the inner workings of like loneliness.
So talking about expectations, moving on, I didn't know Park City was just a fucking street. It's literally Main Street.
No.
And if you go off of Main Street, it's nothing. And if you go on the other side of Main Street, it's more nothing.
And by nothing, you mean like $1 million houses that are fucking bomb as shit. Right?
Yeah. Oh, and we got to stay in one too.
Yes, we did.
Out. That was a beautiful.
Yes, thank
house.
you, Black House. That was amazing.
So about this brunch that we had at the guy's house, what was that about?
Well, again, thanks to Black House, they did like a mini super panel mixer for us. So we met with some executives from Paramount. Shout outs to Monica, Gabby, Lottie, Sarinthia, and Leho. They're all in various departments of Paramount.
Sarinthia is international acquisitions, and Leho, I believe, helps her with that?
Is also in acquisitions. Gabby and Lottie
are in the Paramount. Is it pilot?
No, Paramount. It's a new branch called Paramount Players.
Paramount Players. It's kind of like Paramount Vantage, which put out the best year in 2007 with There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men. Shouts out to their lack of nominations. No tea, no shade, no pink lemonade, but everybody hated Mother.
And shout outs to Monica from casting, who was just a wonderful vocal, great energy.
She needs to be on a comedian.
She does. She needs to be on a comedian?
A show, yeah.
Okay.
She needs to be a comedian. I don't know where I wanted to go with that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, though. So they came to talk to us about what they do and to tell us about these initiatives that they're doing. And just generally, it was like a really good time. We ate delicious brunch.
They hired Black House hired a private chef to make us brunch. The best fucking French toast I've ever had.
And then after that, we met with...
Was it Ampus next or was it Jay?
No, it was Bettina Fisher.
From Ampus.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
From Ampus.
So Bettina is from the Academy, meaning the Academy of Arts,
Motion Picture
Arts and Sciences. So the people who run the Oscars, and she was talking to us about
student programs.
Yeah, so the Oscars is like the money making wing of the Oscars, and what she's on the nonprofit side of the Oscars, where she does educational outreach programs, and she helps students find internships, like the internship program at the Oscars, which is a supplementary...
The Academy Gold program.
Yeah, the Academy Gold program, which is a supplementary internship. So you intern at one of the big studios, and then you can also elect to do the Academy Gold, and the Academy Gold brings in tutors every Wednesday and a whole bunch of nice things, educational things for the interns and brunches and stuff like that.
Then who did we have next?
Well, I kind of want to say on Bettina, because she was talking about media literacy, and that's been my jam for a while. So she said she was going to send me the Academy's media literacy program and DVD and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Because that is something that I really want to get into. I just haven't, one, I'm lazy right now, but two, I'm also trying to graduate, so I'm not trying to put anything on my plate.
May 12th. So who else came?
Jay Ellis from Insecure.
So Jay came to talk to us, and I think he's just he's like a natural performer, and he told us about kind of his whole journey to getting to...
He is so funny.
Yeah, to getting to this level of notoriety on Insecure. And the biggest takeaway was he said something to the effect of, he heard a lot of no's people saying no when he's, trying to learn to act, trying to get these roles and stuff. And he said, take no as a point of growth. And, I thought that was a really good takeaway.
But he also said, now where he is in his career now, he knows that he's a good actor. So if he hears a no, it's, oh, well, I'm too tall, I'm too black, I'm too light, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too whatever. And so it's like, it's not a reflection on me and my skills, it's just I'm not right for the role or what the casting director's looking for. So, but I think that's a lot of things that like young developing artists have, is that like if you're rejected, it's just like, oh, this is
it's a personal front on you as a human being,
right? And it's just like, no, you just weren't right for the role. And it could be an experience thing. But especially in terms of acting is so much of a look as well. So so he was fun, and you guys were having a private conversation with him. I was kind of dissociating because I was sick. Yeah. So I was kind of like in and out, falling asleep.
Yeah, that was a rough day.
It was a really rough day. So what was your conversation with him about? Because I walked up at the end of it before he spoke to the group.
Well, it's actually kind of something, because he's also in A Boy, a Girl, and Dream. And he was talking about how it's kind of that element. Somebody else echoed this of, a story should be, both universal and personal. And that's kind of what he was talking about, and how that's like really where, I guess, as an actor or as an audience member or somebody listening to a story can really get into it. So so Jay was really great. Now let's talk about this last person.
So I definitely was awake for this last conversation when they announced that she was from YouTube. I immediately perked up because a lot of filmmakers, especially of an older generation, are like, fuck YouTube. YouTube is for da-da-da-da. It's not cinema. It's not da-da-da. YouTube is probably one of the most cinematic things ever, I think. So I was immedially intrigued by YouTube. And we can get into this in another episode.
Sure.
It's part of my PhD that I'm working on, that I'm not even graduated from my MFA yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I am very excited about YouTube. And so she's from YouTube. But not only is she from YouTube, Temi, what specific branch of YouTube is she from?
Well, she runs the virtual and augmented reality division of YouTube.
Can you run that back? She what does she do?
She runs.
She's the HBIC. She runs that shit, and it's a black woman. And what's her name?
Erin Teague.
Erin Teague.
She runs the AR and VR branch of YouTube, which is the future of media consumption and creation.
And so they said YouTube, and then they said, I think they said specifically VR, but then she looped in AR later. I was like awake, and the black Brixton was sitting behind me, and some of the other Black House people were standing behind me, and they were just like, oh, well, he's awake, he's excited. Like I was shaking, and they're just like, oh man, he's on crack or something.
My cold took a break when I was like, VR, you said VR. Johnny tapped me on the shoulder like, this is for you, and I was like, you right. And basically she broke it down, man. Like, that's the future. They're investing heavily in that.
We're comparing, Peter Greenaway's architectonic cinema with VR and Francis Ford Coppola's.
How much coding are you going to teach us? Like,
she's like, oh, this is creative. We'll get the coders for you. And it's like,
so my head went to all my little fucking 12-year-old movie ideas, shit blown up and monsters and shit and robots.
But the great thing about having her the last day, and I am kind of lying about me not saying anything, because we did go to New Frontier later that night, and New Frontier is the VR, one of the VR places at Sundance, and so we did get to go see that, and I think that was a really cool experience. I'm glad.
That was amazing,
because I had so many questions about VR, and she had to run short because she's a person that's doing great shit in her life, but going there and seeing like what the limits are currently, and like I was just like, oh, I want to do underwater VR. And then the NASA thing had underwater shit. And I'm just like, well, fuck. And then I was like, I want multi-digeses and spaces. And then I forget what it was called, but there was a VR installation with Rosario Dawson as a voice actress. It was an animated thing. And that shit did that shit. And there's even one with a black hole where you can manipulate.
Did you get to do that?
I did get to do that. It was so much fun. So you get to see your own body, because a lot of the VR stuff you can't see your body, but this is a new technology where the cameras are around, so you can actually see your body. So when you look down, it's not even like an approximation of your body. Like I saw my clothes and like my shoes and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very pixelaty right now, and like not like dot pixels and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird, but it's still great shit. But you get to control this like black hole, and you get to push the object and pull the object around as this guy's talking to you about the physics of a black hole. And if you like put it on his face, it just, and then you move it away, and then he sounds normal again, and his face is all distorted and stuff like that. And so it's like, it was really cool, like what they're doing with the technology in VR. And I'm just like, it's literally like endless possibilities now.
Yeah.
And that's what really excites me about it. So dessert.
We should take a break.
Yeah.
And we'll come back with it. And we're back for dessert, which is takeaways and post Sundance. So yeah, post Sundance, what's up?
Well, working on thesis to graduate, doing the grind until May 12th.
May 12th.
Can't wait.
May 12th.
Also, RuPaul Drag Race All-Star Season 3 is on right now. It started last Thursday, so I'm excited for that. I hope... You have no idea who these people are.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, Aja killed it last week.
That was the one which she jumped off and
she did the death drop off of the platform.
Damn, that shit was crazy.
That was great. So I'm rooting for Aja, Kenny Davenport, Chichi Devane, and Bibi Zahara Benet from Cameroon.
All right, word. Hey, man. More power to him. Whoever did that death drop, though,
Aja.
she gonna win. I'm sorry, she gonna win.
She's gonna get a edit. Yeah, they're gonna do some bum-ass country singer drag queen because she's the fan favorite, quote unquote. She has a show on Viceland. So. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's up for me is more Battlefront 2 and building my PC. I think that's gonna be my little side thing now. How long will it take me to get a graphics card? Before May 12th or after May 12th?
Well, I just ordered my new iMac Pro because my computer died last summer.
Can we do an unboxing and put it on YouTube?
And put it on the podcast? So this is I'm unboxing the
like a video on YouTube.
I mean, yeah, sure, whatever.
He acts like he's not going to get excited, but he's not going to come out of his room when he gets this computer.
Oh, no, that's not it. I just don't want to do an unboxing. I think that's fucking stupid. I don't have the followers for that. Although,
who cares?
I do need 10,000 followers. By the way, the 3 of you that are following us, it's probably more than 3 now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
If you can get, 9,997 of your friends together to follow us on YouTube, we can go to that VR YouTube retreat.
Look, check it out. It's not a pyramid scheme if you just get 100 of your friends to listen to this every week, and then they get 100 of their friends to listen to it every week. Then we can get to YouTube and we'll make even better content.
In 3D VR.
Oh, shit.
So some of the takeaways, if I go to Sundance, any film festival, if I'm there for an extended stay, I'm definitely bringing my own toilet paper. Because the stock toilet paper that they had, my ass was raw. Like... No amount of lotion.
No preparation H.
No amount of that. Like, oh my God. That shit was drier than sandpaper. So definitely bring your own toilet paper.
Oh, man.
But more importantly, you should probably follow up with all of the people that you network with.
Absolutely.
Because people are looking in the week after, like, they know you, you're fresh on their mind, and you need to cultivate it, like, every 6 months, just like, hey, what are you doing? This is what I'm doing, this and that. That way you stay on their minds without being intrusive. And that's the other thing, is that people were so intrusive.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, someone was asking the Angela Rye panel about...
not this.
About essentially, how can you fund my films? How can you help me? How can you give me money to do what I'm doing? And it's just like, first off, nobody can take anything from you unless you're repped by an agent. And that was made bluntly clear throughout.
You can't take unsolicited material.
Right. So if you don't have an agent, there's no even room for discussion. But a lot of these people, and some of them, don't have this journey, but a lot of people, they came from shit and they worked their way and they, tilled their own land and tilled their own field and planted their own seeds and watered it. And then now it's in bloom. And it's just like, I did all of that. And did I have help? Yes. But I can't jumpstart your career. Well,
I think that's it for this time, right?
Yep. We're still on SoundCloud. No word from Apple yet.
Still waiting on Apple. Hey, Tim Cook, hurry up. Hurry up, man.
It'd be gay solidarity if you...
That's right. It would be gay. So can you just do a solid for Rory, please, Tim Cook? Hurry up, man.
Yeah. So you can still find the podcast on SoundCloud.
Niggas Eatin, no G. Where can we find you, Rory?
On Twitter, you can find me at rem_blues, REM_blues, BLUES. And on Instagram, you can find me at remblues, no underscore.
And you can find me on Twitter at itzebra and on Instagram at itzebra11.
1-1.
Yes, 1-1.
Nope, not Roman numeral.
Nope, just the
Arabic
number
numeral 1
Yeah.
and Arabic numeral number 1.
Exactly. So.
Play us out, Sam.
Sing it, Sam.
You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by.